and welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about geothermal greenhouses. Okay, so I've been researching geothermal for years and how, its implementation into housing, greenhouses. As a matter of fact, I had an office that used geothermal in their air conditioning. Now that was one of those systems that, is, they drill wells and run I think glycol down into these, and it's very expensive initial setup, but then the running it. And actually that office couldn't keep up with my heat. So that's what just kept killing it over and over again. So now the house I'm planning on building, I have to have engineered plans to do what I want to do legitimately. And it's just a big step, big hurdle to hire an architect and an engineer to get plans drawn up, right? Well, that's for the house, right? And I'm fine for now. The house is not going to be a quick thing. I'm not, under any delusions that a 4,000 square foot earth sheltered, rammed earth house that I want to build is going to be done anytime soon. So, and that's, because I want to do it legitimately, and turning like an Earthship style house into an Oregon permitted house is going to cost some money, to get the proper engineering and, to do things the correct way. The biggest hurdle with the Earthship in Oregon is bedrooms have to have windows that go to the outside, that you can egress windows, basically, right? You have to be able to crawl out your window to get outside in the case of a fire. Now I'm building a house that's, the floors are concrete and the walls are rammed earth. So anyway, the fire isn't, but anyway, I want it to be code. So my first thoughts are just moving the bedrooms forward, right? So instead of having the hallway down the front where the windows are, just move the bedrooms and have the hallway in the back. And then just replicate the whole way that the hallway works in the normal Earthships, but just on a room-to-room basis, right? Which, having that one giant atrium that just runs the whole span is, really ideal. But Oregon's frickin', permitting laws make it difficult. Actually, even where these guys started in New Mexico is making it really difficult on them again. So it was difficult for them, and then they got some sort of special permitting, I think, through the government, and then that expired. Now they're being difficult again, from what I understand, right? So this is where government ineffectiveness is kind of pathetic. Governments aren't staying current because of the way they're set up to operate. Is they can't do anything unless it's a law. So, and then passing laws, especially now, and then just to do anything, so that's why I don't like the system. It's fucking retarded. So, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And where I'm at, there's always that option just to say, fuck it. I think they wouldn't be happy, but there's so many people doing that out here. I have a permit to have a house on my property. A lot of these properties out here don't even have that. So, then anyway, back to the greenhouse though. So, these geothermal greenhouses are really amazing. You know, you input a lot of energy into them in the beginning. Um, you know, a normal greenhouse, like a hoop house, you know, to put up a hoop house is not a lot of energy, right? You dig little holes, put little posts, stand up things, right? Not a lot of energy. But now with the geothermal greenhouse, now the geothermal greenhouse is not using this insanely expensive geothermal glycol system that, you know, people, when you say geothermal and they're like professional installers and all that, oh yeah, blah, blah, you know, no. We're talking about air tubes that are buried underground, and this works insanely well. There's one in freaking Kansas that it gets like, you know, in the negatives, and this guy's growing citrus year round. Obviously, I mean they're trees, so duh. You know, and there's a few different styles. There's like the earth battery style, so those look a lot like a normal greenhouse, but they have taken out a whole layer of land and then put pipes down, and then they run pipes up to the roof, and you basically just, you know, either heat or cool by running those pipes, right? Because in the summer it'll cool, in the winter it'll warm. Because once you get certain depth, it's, you know, it's around 50 degrees, right? And 50 degrees is perfect for you know, most stuff. If it never gets below 50 degrees, you're fine, right? So you can literally grow anything, right? So that's an earth battery style. Now, the one that I'm planning on building is, let's see, this has, so the Earthship has like a doctrine that your house like provides you with food and all these different things, right? And, you know, I'm like trying to have a farm. So for my house to make food, you know, now I'm aware of all these plants that are very efficient at taking chemicals out of the air. Now, my house is not going to have very many chemicals at all. I mean, I don't know what the cement in the walls and maybe some whatever, but I mean, it's not going to be one of these you know, there's no carpet, there's no drywall, there's no, you know, all this stuff that, you know, insulation that can off gas and have weird stuff going on. None of that's going to be in my house. So, in this greenhouse, so the one that I'm planning on building, it goes down into the earth. So it's not just sitting on the top of land. This is back to the point of it takes a lot of energy going into initially. And then you have to dig 8 feet deep and a trench like about 300 feet-ish, 200 and between 2 and 300 feet of 8 foot deep, which out here is doable, but it's weird dirt that you get down into that deep. I mean, it's diggable. I've dug it, so it's not solid like solid rock. It's like really, it's weird dirt. It's weird. It's like you put in water, it bubbles, and you kind of got to scrape at it and scrape at it. I mean, it might be just super old rock that's just so old that it's just like turns to, I don't even know. I should have fucking gone into geology because that shit just fucking intrigues me. So, digging this, I've got a backhoe, right? And then the panels, that's pretty expensive. Before shipping is about $3,500, right? So that's kind of a big expense. And then there's the steel, and it's custom bent. And you know, I can weld, and you know, I might do the first one, but I'm actually thinking about potentially, you know, just putting these things up for sale, as you know, just offering them, you know, myself. Because to put them together, that's just kind of fun, honestly. I mean, digging some holes and building stuff out of metal. I mean, they're super basic materials. The most expensive thing, I think, is well, honestly, I don't know. I haven't priced out all the tubing, the metal. I mean, there's a grip of this freaking air tube that goes around through it. There's like tons of those tubes that just do the geothermal effect, right? So this one uses geothermal and earth battery, right? So the earth battery comes in where you're pulling the heat off the top of the greenhouse and putting it into the earth below. So you imagine here's grade, the greenhouse is down in like that, and then there's a greenhouse like over this whole thing, right? So you're down here and your greenhouse goes like this, but then here you're down in the ground. So you go all the way from the top of the greenhouse up here, here's grade, all the way down, from all the way up there, all the way down into there with piping. So you're grabbing all the heat off the top of the greenhouse and pulling it all down into the ground all day long, right? So then that lasts on into the night. And then in reverse, when it's really hot out, that then works as a cooling as well. As well as the geothermal tubes, right? So it's like there's like two sets of tubes, two sets of fans, and it really runs on not much power. Like I'll probably just set it up with its own whole solar system that just anyway, it doesn't take much power because you literally have blower fan for the geothermal, blower fan for the earth battery, and then like another, like one of those greenhouse fans that sits kind of like the jumbo like vac fan, right? And that's it for those. Now inside the greenhouse, I'm probably going to set it up as a not hydroponics. No. Why am I brain farting on this? The hydroponics with the fish. So the fish and there's a word for it and it totally escapes me. So anyway, that'll be part of it, of the inside, right? That's like the back and one end. And then the growing area, like I'm trying to grow like pineapple, banana, probably like lemon or lime or something like this, right? Dragon fruit, and some other things that are just, stuff that I eat, right? And that'll be super fun. Now, the initial part of this whole thing is digging a ton of dirt. Some of it goes back in the hole, or most of it goes, some of it, but there's a giant hole, and that's very beneficial to what I'm doing right now, because when I'm planning on building this rammed earth house, right? Earth, yeah, I need a lot of that, right? So on my property, I have, a decent layer of topsoil. Then it gets down in this like kind of rocky, soily level, and then down to this really hard stuff, right? So I'm at that point now where I've got two piles. One topsoil pile that I need to go through, but I have to build a freaking soil rock separator, basically. A giant, I've seen them. The best ones spin a giant thing or shake or something like this. I'm just gonna build some big wood that just goes up in the air and then just has different size screens or fences or whatever going down to separate out the dirt and the rocks as best as I can. There's a lot of organic material mixed up in the topsoil, which is good to a certain extent. Some of it I'd like to burn off the sage sticks. Those are pretty gnarly, and I don't know how don't know what their nutrient breakdown profile is. So, but burning them I know is totally awesome. So, yeah. A lot of stuff going on with farm development at the same time as I'm trying to build a house, right? I mean, because developing the farm is relatively inexpensive. Like I can just, backhoe maintenance. I'm already paying for the backhoe, so I just have to maintain the backhoe, buy the gas, and it's due for a freaking grease job, those types of things, a few hours of freaking wiping grease and pumping grease. So anyway, that's what's upcoming. And, when I start this geothermal build, that's going to be a lot better videos. I'm not just going to be talking about those. I'm going to actually take my camera bag out. Oh, yeah. My Canon, my freaking, my main production camera, this guy, they just freaking Canon did something that is so awesome. I can't even believe it. They fucking put this thing can do 4K now. They just did a firmware update that just made this a 4K camera. Just like that. Like I bought this thing, I don't remember, some years ago. And it's HD. It shoots really good, big old 3/4 inch sensor. And it's an awesome camera. I love it. So, but now it's 4K. And it's like, I gotta. 4K, it's easy. And it's not the shooting that fucking bothers me. It's the editing. I spent too many years fucking spending too much time, huge days editing all day long. Burned out. Honestly, just burned out on it. So anyway, then that's why I show this off, because when I start doing the I got a drone around here somewhere too. When I start doing that, I'm gonna seriously, it's because that's something people really want to emulate, And not to mention, I'm probably going to put them up for sale as well. Because once I build the jig that the metal bar gets bent, there's literally one bar that gets all the attention. One metal tube, it gets bent, it gets all the parts welded onto it. And then almost everything else is just straight bar. Or straight, just square tube. Super easy to build. So, peace. Like and sub, please. Subscribe if you watch this video this long. Hit it.